Hi everyone! I hope you're having a great morning. As you can see, I'm starting to add some more fall touches into the garden with this beautiful container here. But I'm extremely excited. I wanted to bring you over here to show you the latest addition to the veggie garden. I'm sure you guys remember me talking about the Rhubarb Forcers. They can also be called cloches or bell jars, and here they are. These are from Wakefield Handmade. And today is my anniversary, so Marc ordered these for me from Peter Wakefield. He's my favorite potter and artist, and he just does wonderful work, as you can see. And I'm going to put a link below so that you guys can learn a little bit more about the true intention and how rhubarb forcers are used. But for me, I don't even have rhubarb in my garden right now. I did, but earlier on in the season, I put it out. It was a new plant and it died because I'm new to it. So I'm learning. I will be planting some more, but regardless, rhubarb or not, these just fit my cottage garden style so beautifully, and I'm going to enjoy these for years to come. And so special for it to be an anniversary gift as well. Every time I look out at these, I'm just going to think about our anniversary, and it'll just be another sweet garden memory. I love to add memories into the garden with plants that remind me of people I love, and decorations and ornamentations of things that remind me of people I love. So just a very special thing to incorporate into the garden. And a huge thank you to Peter. These pieces are quite extensive to make, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I'm going to share a video of Peter back in his studio in Wisconsin showing us how he makes these. With such skill and grace, he makes it look so easy. Seeing that process and then seeing them in the garden as well, another memory for me, and just a wonderful thing to look back and reflect upon. Also, I'm going to put a link to Peter's website where you can pre-order these. He does have these available, so please go ahead and check that out. You can also use a special coupon, How's It Growing, for 10% savings on your purchase. They're beautiful, as you can see, functional if you're growing rhubarb, which I will be, and otherwise just a beautiful decorative garden accent. I'm over the moon with them. I think I made the right choice on an anniversary gift this year. So thank you, Marc, because I truly do love them. I will cherish them forever. And I'm going to cut to Peter in his studio, and he's going to show you the multi-step process on how these were made. Thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy watching the process as Peter shows us. Thanks so much.
Hi there, Peter here from Wakefield Handmade Pottery. We specialize in handmade garden pottery. Today I'm working on a Rhubarb Forcer special project with my friend Laura from How's It Growing. She asked me to make some for her, and I thought, well, gosh, I haven't made those in a long time. That would be really a fun project to take on. So I'm using red terracotta clay here. Rhubarb forcers are a traditional piece of garden pottery, very familiar to Victorian England. And the idea is that putting a rhubarb forcer over the rhubarb early in the season helps keep it from freezing, keeps it a little bit warmer, but also you can regulate how much sunlight it gets. And apparently, if the rhubarb is blanched, it has a little sweeter taste to it. So, throwing a rhubarb forcer, there are about 3 different steps. This is the first step of throwing the body of it. And so it looks like I'm really just throwing a flower pot. But once this has dried to what we call the leather hard stage, I'm going to flip it over, and this rim will become the part that sits in the garden, and then what looks like the base now will become the top. And one advantage to doing it this way is that you can get sort of the general profile of the set, but there's a lot that you can do for the final form of it with the bottom, because when this is leather hard, this will be quite a bit stiffer at the top here. So when I flip it over, that'll all stay stable, but the bottom down here will be a little bit softer. And then I can really throw that in the way I want it to go to make the form. I'll have another video following up on when I finish these off. You can see behind me here are 3 others that I made just now. And these are all 12 pounds of clay, but I'm going to also do some, I think, with 20 pounds of clay, maybe even more. Traditional Victorian era rhubarb forcers were maybe 20, 22 inches tall. And with 12 pounds of clay, I'm going to be limited to maybe 14 inches tall. And like I said, this is going to be, it looks like the rim now is going to be the part that is sitting in the garden. So I want it to be kind of a beefy rim that is going to resist getting chipped or dinged. So in this first stage, I'm really just interested in making a sort of straight looking flower pot, and then I'll come back when I flip it and add a little bit more shape to this area here, which is going to be the top. So stay tuned, and I'll be back with the rest of it. Hey there, I'm here with part 2 of making rhubarb forcers. Yesterday I threw the body of the rhubarb forcer, so it looks pretty much like a flower pot here. And now I need to turn it upside down and throw what will become the top of it. First of all, I have to get this centered on here. Okay, that'll be close enough, and I'll anchor it down a little bit with some pieces of clay here so it's got a little bit of stability as I work on it. So I'm going to take what looks like a flower pot I just turned upside down and make it into this sort of cloche shape here. And of course what was the bottom of the flower pot dries out more slowly than the very top. So the top is stiff enough I can put it on the wheel head without scuffing it up too much. And I'm going to just sort of throw this top like I would another pot. I'll use the steel rib to kind of fill it out here and give it that more of a bell shape. So you work on pots like this when they're in what we call the leather hard stage, which means soft enough that it's still, you can still make an impression pretty easily with your finger, but not so soft that you're going to deform it by trying to pick it up. And I'm trying to make these so that the lids will all be the same size, so I'm trying to give them all a 5.5 inch top diameter. So I need to choke this one in a little bit. still needs to go in a little bit. That's pretty close there. So, from here I can just smooth it off a little bit. And then I'll be ready to give it a stamp. And then the next part will be throwing the lid. So I'll be back with more. Okay, one more step here to the bell jars, or rhubarb forcers, is the lid. When I did the tops on all the rhubarb forcers, I made the openings the same size, about 5.5 inches. And so now my task is to make lids that are going to fit them. And the lid itself is a two-step process because you have to throw the lid part of it, the body part of it, and then after it's dry, you have to come back and turn it over, trim it a little bit, and throw the knob on top of it. So, as you're beginning to see, the rhubarb forcers are a pretty labor-intensive little project. So, I've got my handy-dandy pointer here, so that tells me I've hit right at 5.5 inches. I can go back and check it with my calipers. Yep, on the money. Trim off the bottom a little bit. And then I'll let it dry. Probably by tomorrow I'll be able to put the knob on. And then you can see here are the others that I've made. So this is the 12th one I've made this morning. And I've got 12 of the number 12 bell jars, so I'll probably make a few extra here. You never know if one's gonna bite the dust along the way. Okay, well, I'll do another little segment when I'm ready to put the knobs on here. Okay, here's the last step in finishing the making of the rhubarb forcers. This is the lid base I threw day before yesterday. Now it's leather hard and hard enough for me to handle it, but it's still soft enough I can change the shape of it. So first thing I've got to do is get it centered on the wheel, upside down. So I'm going to basically throw a little knob on top of it once I trim it down to the exact shape that I want. And you can see back here I've got the ones that I've already done, which probably look familiar if you know about antique rhubarb forcers. And then for the trimming I need to put some clay around the lid here to keep it stuck to the wheel. And hopefully while I'm cutting it, it doesn't want to fly off. Using a tool like this that's actually just a strip of metal that's bent at both ends. One is more of a squared end and the other is a little more curved. Each of them give a little bit different cut. Make a very nice little rounded dome shape here, and then put a lid on top that makes a nice counterpoint to the dome shape, but also one that is functional enough that you can get a good grip on it in the garden. Almost there. take off the clay. I won't need it stuck down quite as hard when I'm doing throwing the lid on it, because there's not the same kind of pressure as when you're cutting on it. So I'm just going to take a little blob of clay and stick it on the top here and then throw it like it's a little pot. Always have to get it wet so that it bonds to the leather hard clay. I want to give a little bit of extra pressure right down here at the bottom to make a little flange for it to be well attached. And I want to give it the shape that I like. I like to have a little bit of point in the middle, enough of an undercut that you can get a good grip on it. And like I said, I want it to be sort of a counterpoint to the dome shape of the lid. So there we have it. All set, and let's hope it actually fits the Rhubarb Forcer when I get it over there.